Hey, everybody, what is going on? It's the return of the RCWR show. Hey, one and only Lee Sanders here, covering all things wrestling, entertainment, and beyond since 2011. It is so fantastic being back with you guys. I was out for a good minute there. Almost close to 2 weeks there, but more so on the side of a week and a half. But fantastic to be back with you guys once again. If you're not connected to me all throughout social media, yeah, I was out on some weird stuff that was going on. I'll get into it in just a hot second. Hey, we're streaming live on a couple of different platforms. We're streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, / Periscope. Did I mention Twitch already? I mean, we're pretty much all over the place live for the next little bit. Use the keywords, the RCWR show. We do have multiple chat rooms connected to all of those places that I just mentioned, where you can just hop on in. You can say hello. I can see where all the comments are coming from. I'll definitely do my best to show you guys some love. Now, even though I'm back into the full swing of things, at least for this week, maybe even for the following week, we're going to have the shows be a bit abbreviated. So by that, I'm looking to do about an hour to an hour 15 minutes tops, for at least for our Monday night shows. If I can pretty much do the same thing for the rest of the shows that we put out there during the week, so be it. But I'm going to try to have the shows be as short as humanly possible, just so I can get my feet wet, really get into the thick of things, just kind of feeling the water a little bit. But the ultimate goal is to basically get back to what we normally would do, which is 90 minutes, 2 hours, sometimes maybe 2 hours and 15 minutes. That is the ultimate goal. So just kick on back. Definitely want to sound off. Hey, how about that Raw tonight? How about those closing moments of Raw, man? I got to tell you, is Randy Orton white hot right now, or is Randy Orton white hot? That man is scorching hot right now. I'm telling you, going into SummerSlam, and it's so weird because everything that's going on right now with the pandemic, we got basketball back, baseball's in the swing of things, football is about to come back and everything. And then we're in the middle of a political season, a hot season, probably one of the most significant. If you thought 2016's presidential election was something, this next one that's getting ready to come up is really, just in comparison to 2016, this one is really having a lot of people just, and I'm not going political, I'm just saying, just given the climate that we're all in right now. I mean, these are some interesting, crazy times that we're in, but it's hard to believe that we got SummerSlam, which is essentially just a week away, and I'm just not really in the SummerSlam type of zone. I don't know what it is, but I tell you what, Randy Orton and everything that's been going on with him, money, fucking money. I would love to see Randy Orton as the new WWE champion. I don't know about you guys. To each its own. I don't know about you guys, but I definitely sign me up. Randy Orton, champion, coming out of SummerSlam. Yeah, I'll buy that. I'm all in on that. But we'll definitely talk some key points about tonight's Raw. Also, unlike WWE, yeah, I got a little bit of a bone to pick with y'all. WWE for this week. Very disappointed that you all did not put together some type of a 2-3 minute montage with regards to the passing of the one, the only WWE alumni, WWE Hall of Famer, Kamala James Harris. That's okay. We're definitely going to be showing him some love. I know for those of you that's going to be checking out the audio version of the show, you can't see what I'm holding up right now for the folks that's checking out the webcast version of the show. But I can't stress it enough. If there was ever a part of you that was a fan of Kamala's, or if there's a fan in you that appreciates wrestling from the early 90s, 80s, even the 70s, you owe it to yourself to pick up this book, which is titled Kamala Speaks. It is written by Kamala himself, James Harris, and he did this book before he died. To be exact, this book came out in 2015. And I actually was one of many financial backers that went into our pockets and said, yeah, go ahead, put that book out. We want to hear you in your own words. And it was really cool because along with the book, you also were able to get a Kamala t-shirt. So I know you guys that's going to be checking out the audio. You can't see me, but I would like to encourage you guys once again, check out the webcast because you get to see me in the flesh and you get to see all different types of stuff that I'm sharing. But we are fully representing tonight, unlike some people, they talk it, but we actually walk it. And so I'm definitely a fan of Kamala James Harris when it's all said and done, to the point I'm representing tonight. As you guys can see, looking at the webcast, I've got my Kamala shirt on. And yeah, I'm looking forward to talking about him later on. But WWE, I got a serious bone to pick with you, man. You don't pay homage to the man? Now, I even asked some of the people on Twitter tonight. I said, hey, I was running around doing some things throughout the house, so wasn't really in front of the TV there. What was going on? What was going on with Kamala James Harris? Did they show him some love? Did they do a little bit of a montage? And most of the people that were responding to it, they said, no, just a graphic at the beginning of the show. That pretty much was it. We'll talk a little bit more about that. All right, so before we talk about Raw, a couple other little headlines. So I had a serious health scare. I don't want to be long-winded with this, but just to kind of get you long-time listeners and even new subscribers, because you guys may have noticed after you subscribe, whoa, man, this guy hasn't put out any new content in several days. What the hell's going on here? All right, so not to make it long-winded, I am paying attention to the time and everything. So so it wouldn't be this past weekend. It would be the week before. So I'm just kind of looking at the calendar. I have no choice. I've got to look at the calendar because after a while, the days just start merging into each other, sadly. Okay, so Friday, July 31st, after I got off from work, I was feeling completely physically defeated. I don't know what the hell it was, but I got in the car. My girl had picked me up and she said, "Are you okay?" I said, yeah, I feel like a ton of bricks just landed on my ass with a building. And she said, "Yeah, you look like shit." I said, "Yeah." So I figured, hey, good night's rest. I should be ready to go. I wake up the next day and both of my arms extremely weak. Both of my legs extremely weak. My back, I don't know if the feeling was locked or what, but it was extremely difficult for me to move around. It was extremely difficult for me to do the most simplistic things. Walking around, picking up my dog, picking up a broom. It was crazy. It was very, very crazy what was going on. And so I really, not knowing what the hell was going on, I needed to stay off my feet. So I called my job and I told him what was going on. And my boss, sweetheart, he was like, you sure you don't have COVID? Are you running a high fever or anything? I said, nah, I'm okay. I was like, I just got these weird chills and all that going on. I just need to rest up. I should be okay, maybe going into next week. I'm actually going to get in contact with my doctor, get a doctor's appointment. I'll make sure I have a doctor's note. Don't worry about it. So the original plan was to talk to my primary doctor over the weekend of that respective weekend, the weekend of July 31st, or going into July 31st. And right when I was getting ready to do that, sadly here in the Sanders household, we got a serious health scare. And my girl, she says, "Okay, you feel any better?" I'm like, "No, not really." That was the other thing about how I was feeling that whole week. I was sleeping so much, it wasn't even funny. I was sleeping for periods of almost 14 hours consecutively. Maybe I'd be up for about 1, 2, maybe 3 hours there, but I was sleeping pretty much 14 hours straight for the first 3, maybe 4 days. So my girl checks in with me Saturday night and she goes, "Are you okay? Your symptoms feel any worse?" I go, "Nah, I'm okay. About the same, still very weak." And she goes, "Okay, well, at my job, one of my coworkers actually tested positive for COVID. So I'm being asked, all of us are being asked that we're in close contact with this individual to get tested. So I fear I might have brought something home to you, so you're going to need to get tested as well. So he goes, oh shit, just lovely. So let me tell you something with regards to the whole process, when it comes to getting tested and everything. I know a lot of what you guys are seeing out there. A lot of misinformation is out there. I'm sure you guys have probably seen it. You've seen the shit that's out there where, yeah, I think I got COVID, and this big ass long fucking Q-tip gets put up your nose, and it looks all painful as you got the guys just, and they act like they're being shot or some shit like that. It was not like that at all. Not like that at all. You basically, in our case, we went to the hospital that was down the street from us, because we both have the same, primary care thingamajigger. And we were in our cars. We followed the instructions, the arrows and everything, and we pull up in front of this tenant area. And basically, hey, what's your name? We told them the name. And they already had it ready to go. They just gently went inside the nose. They did not touch my brain or were trying to stab me or anything like that. It was not painful whatsoever. They were done in not even 15 seconds. And they basically said, all right, so we've collected what we need to collect. You should have the results anywhere between 24 to 72 hours. It'll be available in an email encouraging you to log into the portal. You'll also get a phone call as well. It's like, okay, all right, cool beans. So meanwhile, I did talk to my primary doctor, and I told him what was going on with my symptoms and everything. And they basically said, okay, well, let's go ahead and let's have you self-quarantine. But regardless if the results come back positive for COVID or negative for COVID, regardless of the results, I'm going to say you take it easy for the next 5 to 7 days. And if your condition does not improve, well, then you're going to need to take another week off and go from there. All right, so going into the next day, got the COVID test back. COVID tests were negative, so knock on wood, COVID tests were negative. Yay. For both of us, they were negative. And that was good news for my girl, because once her employer found out she pretty much was good to go, then it was a case of, okay, well, we need you to come back ASAP. And it was like, oh, okay, that's just lovely. Meanwhile, I pretty much was out for pretty much the rest of last week. So it's going to be weird going back to work tomorrow. And then on top of that, I'm going to be going, getting into the whole groove of doing the shows again and everything. So, it's taking me a while. I still feel a little bit weak in the arms, legs, not so much in the back anymore. I can tell you this, when I was talking to my primary care doctor, physician, whatever you want to call them, I asked him straight up, I said, look, is this a case where it maybe ties into my diabetes? Is that maybe why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling? He said, no, has nothing to do with your diabetes. I think, honestly, my medical professional opinion, I think you just came down with a really nasty viral cold. That really was it. But just drink plenty of fluids. Even though you don't want to eat, get some nutrition in your body, and, you should be good in a little bit. So, I feel 90% better. I'll take it. 90% is a lot better than how I was feeling, honestly, last week. Because last week was just really fucking shitty. So, I'm happy to be back doing the show once again. Missed a ton of stuff. I do want to take a pause. I'm trying very hard to get the chat up at my end so I can see what you guys are saying in the chat. So that's why you kind of notice me looking a little bit distracted over here. I'm trying to see if I can just log in real quick here. Bear with me a second, because that way I get to know where all the comments are coming from and everything. And if I can't get it this time, then I'm gonna have to log in another way, and maybe that'll do the trick. Otherwise, I'm just gonna say fuck it, and I'll just have to use another method to see where you guys are coming from when it comes to your comments here. Yeah, I'll have to... Well, actually, you know what? Give me a second, guys. See if I can figure out a quick workaround here. Give me a second. But yeah, that was pretty crazy. I would say, honestly, I wasn't finally... Oh, and I didn't have my voice for a while. I mean, I could speak, but it was very weak. Pretty much on the quiet side. So yeah, it was a whole lot of weird shit that was going on. I honestly didn't finally start feeling better until, I would say, really maybe about 3 days ago. 3 days ago is when I would say I was finally starting to feel like my normal self again. All right, let me see here. I just want to key in. Let's see if I can get that in there. So please listen to your body when it's all said and done. Yep, there's the info I want right there. Listen to your body. When in doubt, pride can be a hell of a thing. Especially if you're young and you're like, man, I got the entire world, palm of my hands, I don't need to worry about. Trust me, I get it. But it's better to be safe than fucking sorry. I cannot stress it enough. It's better to be safe than sorry. Get fucking tested. Get fucking tested. You'll thank yourself later. Going back and just kind of, I'm not saying we'll get into it a little bit later on, but just kind of thinking about Kamala there, I can't help but, man, if only he had got diagnosed sooner, is it a possibility where, maybe he still would be around today? You just can't help but wonder. All right, so I am able to see where you guys are coming from with your chat. So as soon as you put in a comment, I will see it. So yeah, all right, but killed enough time as it is there. All right, so now I'm no longer distracted with little side things here. So let's talk Raw, man. Yeah, Raw this week, I gotta say, yeah, it was pretty good. That was also probably the coolest thing about being disengaged all of last week, pretty much going into now, was that as far as last week's batch worth of wrestling shows, my girl was like, don't even think about the shows right now. Don't even think about wrestling. Just decompress. Just worry about getting better. So I didn't watch anything from last week. So I really went into this with just a fresh set of eyes. I won't say going into this with a new appreciation. I won't say that, but I did go into this week going, okay, whatever was going on with how I was feeling about certain shows leading up to when I got sick, clean slate, I know some people hear that and they go, well, it's only been a week. It's like, but when it's a week, the amount of shows that I watch to give my reactions to and everything, when it's a week, it really feels like an eternity in the podcasting world. Because now you're like, okay, well, that was last week, and I don't really know what was going on last week, so I kind of got to get up to speed a little bit, even though it was about, I had the opportunity yesterday, I had the opportunity to try to binge on a couple of things, but it was, no, I'd rather go into the week just, I don't know what's going on, try to piece together everything. Raw this week had its ups. I got to say, it had its ups, it had its downs as well. The biggest up for this week, I got to give mad props to the Randy Orton Ric Flair segment. I enjoyed the hell out of that. Ric Flair selling the fucking emotions that he was selling. I was loving it. And if you guys remember several weeks ago, I said, man, eventually Randy Orton is going to turn on Ric Flair. The question is, how is Ric Flair going to be selling it? Because that's what I had peeped you guys out to. I said, look for how the betrayal from Orton on Flair is going to come about. How physical is Ric Flair going to be when it calls for Orton to turn his back? And my whole thing was, remember, Ric Flair, the surgery that he had, so what's going to happen? Is Flair just going to get a low blow there and they're going to pretend that he's going to get the punt to the head? What exactly are we going to do there with Ric Flair? That's what I told you guys to peep out. And the way that they did it tonight, I got to tell you, I loved it.
I loved how they did that with the whole flickering of the lights there. Now, first off, they gave us the low blow. I mean, anybody can fucking take a fucking low blow. I'm sure Bob Barker, at the age that he is right now, I'm sure he could even fucking take a low blow. Well, actually, when it comes to Bob Barker, I think it was maybe behind the scenes of some low blows that he was getting from a few of his beauties that got him in some trouble in the first place. So we know he can take low blows, but I digress. No, seriously, I'm sure you, me, anybody else, our grandparents, our great-grandparents, I'm sure, especially, hey, you gonna pay me how much? Shit, yeah, go ahead, give me a low blow. So we knew that was probably going to come about, but my whole thing was, can Ric Flair take a punt to the head? That was my whole deal. Can he really sell the hell out of it? And I love how they had the lights flickering and all that other shit. That was brilliant from a production side of things, because, you know, there's only but so much. I'm sure Ric Flair could probably do more, but why risk it? You know, he's risking enough as it is. Now, just because I enjoyed this segment, I gotta be consistent. And that's the word for 2020. I've been saying a lot on this show. Consistent. Consistency. Gotta be consistent. Even though this was a slam dunk closer of a segment for Raw this week, I'm still not that keen. I don't care if you live in Florida. I don't care if you're somehow connected with the WWE and you could tell me till you're blue in the face, but we're taking these precautions, we're doing this, we're doing that. I hear you talking, but the numbers for Florida speaks for itself, which we'll talk about more because it actually ties into Chris Jericho. But for me, yeah, Flair, age that he is, more likely to get COVID. I'm still not thrilled on my man Ric Flair having all those interactions, those engagements with everybody. I'm still not down with that, but it is what it is. But I love how they masqueraded that whole punt to the head with the flickering of the lights. Now, here's something else to think about too. Here's something else to think about with the flickering of the lights and everything. As cool as it was that they protected Flair the way they protected Flair, also, is it possible that maybe Retribution, in their own quiet subliminal way, was maybe trying to send some type of a warning shot to Orton to leave Ric Flair alone? You just kind of have to have that in the back of your head a little bit, because with the whole lights flickering, it just, everything that was going on with them since they've been doing their little invasion thing, you just can't help but wonder, right? Which then poses the question even more, okay, who exactly are these Retribution guys? I'm completely in the dark as far as who these Retribution guys are. I kind of teased the idea, I want to say maybe 2 weeks ago, before I went out on hiatus there. I want to say 2 weeks ago, I had toyed around with the idea, hey, not for nothing, but WWE, they did acquire Evolve, so possibly we could be seeing some talents from the Evolve promotion maybe be brought into the WWE that way. And I told you guys, just kind of have that in the back of your heads, but in the meantime, just enjoy the ride for all it's worth. And you know, until we get the big reveal, just, you know, it is what it is. Now, I will say, they all do look rather small. I will, there's no denying that. This is not me making jokes in any type of way. I just see these guys and see what I need for WWE to do in the coming weeks, for however long they're going to have these guys run around and do all this crazy shit. WWE, real talk. I need you guys to do your very best from a TV fan viewing standpoint to go, okay, fans, when you see Tozawa and his ninjas, it's Tozawa and his ninjas. I don't need to be going, okay, is that Tozawa's? Is that Tozawa and his ninjas? Is that Tozawa's ninjas? Or is that Retribution? You feel where I'm coming from? So that's the first thing that we need to work on. That's the first thing we need to work on. Because you could even take it a step further, and I wouldn't blame any fan that's also thinking this way. I wouldn't, honestly. Okay, is Tozawa's ninjas in cahoots with Retribution? Are they somehow working together? Or are these two different stables, groups? What's going on? I'm totally with you guys if you feel that way. I'm totally with you all. Which is why WWE needs to do their very best to really help separate these guys. I don't know if they need to borrow a page from Aces and Eights and do some type of weird skeleton, demonic type of thing around the mouth, eye area for whoever, ninjas or Retribution, whatever they need to do. But they need to do something that will fucking let that fucking fan know when they're watching their TV, that's Tozawa and his ninjas. That's Retribution. There's got to be, cosmetically, just the way these guys are appearing before my eyes when I'm watching it, that's got to change drastically. And there's got to be a distinct calling card as well. A very distinct calling card that lets you know, oh no, that's so-and-so. So, and I think they'll get there in due time. They will get there in due time. But, yeah, the Randy Orton, Ric Flair thing, that was beautiful how they had set that up. So, again, kind of circling back what we said a couple of minutes ago. So now you're kind of left to your own devices wondering, okay, yeah, where is this going exactly? Is it possible Retribution was kind of sending a warning shot there to Orton? What exactly was going on there? But kudos to Randy Orton. Randy Orton came out of that so goddamn white hot. Especially as far as the one you love to hate. You just want to see him get his, really. Drew McIntyre coming now. I will say I've enjoyed his interactions with Randy Orton these past couple of weeks. They have been bouncing off of each other extremely well. Extremely well. I can't help but wonder, though, is it too little too late for Drew McIntyre? Because remember what I've been saying off and on these past couple of weeks, and once the honeymoon period was over for Drew McIntyre after he defeated Lesnar at Mania, wins the title and everything, okay, honeymoon is over. Real quick, he started to become Great Value John Cena. Remember, that's what we've been dubbing him on here. Great Value John Cena. He's coming on out, every single week, and I just want to tell you guys, I really appreciate all the love and the support that you guys are giving me. It's nice to know that when I reach my hand out and I'm touching that screen, and I know in my heart you're reaching back out, and I can feel you. I can feel you in my hand. I can feel you in my heart. I can feel you in my soul. Together, this is our championship. You're like, yeah, okay, all right, whatever, dude. So it's really nice that we got this feud between him and Randy Orton. But I can't help but wonder, is it too little too late? Because Randy Orton has just consistently just been building up that steam, just been building it up, and you go, dude, I'm supposed to him versus Drew, like, and I'm a sucker for it, and I've been saying it on the show for so many years, that sometimes the chase is better than the catch, and for me right now, I'm liking Orton essentially chasing after Drew McIntyre for the title. But how's the payoff going to be at the end? We'll go into predictions and all that next week, man. But fucking awesome. McIntyre coming out there like a deranged madman. Orton, I'm going to fucking murder ya. Yeah, he didn't say that, of course. But, I mean, he might as well should have the way he came out there and everything. Good fucking shit. Good fucking shit. I ate that up. So high marks to those guys. High marks to that segment. Great shit. Also got to give high marks to Dominic Mysterio. His shit there with Seth Rollins. Fantastic. Fantastic. I ate that shit up. I love that. Seeing fucking Dominic Mysterio get the living shit kicked out of him by Seth Rollins and Murphy. I mean, and I tweeted this out. I felt like I was watching the Passion of the Christ. I mean, my God, Dominic Mysterio was taking a beating for our sins, was he not? God damn. I ate that shit up. I'm looking at him, and all I could think about as I'm watching Dominic get the shit out, he's getting destroyed. All I could think about, for some weird reason, was one of my favorite scenes in Goodfellas. And you got fucking Ray Liotta. He's talking about how he's the young little kid. Anybody that has seen Goodfellas, you know exactly the scene I'm talking about. And it's the scene where Ray Liotta, as a young teenager, he was skipping school because he wanted to go help out at Paulie's restaurant and all that other shit. Him and a young teenage Joe Pesci, they were selling contraband cigarettes from the back of a fucking truck, and some cops had came up and they thought that the cops were in on the take as well. Nah, these cops were just straight up grade A, we're gonna do our fucking job, Captain America, apple pie officers, turn these motherfuckers in and everything. And this was basically Ray Liotta's moment. You know, was he gonna flip? You know, was he gonna pull a fucking Jay-Z a week ago? You know, shit was all good just a week ago. Funny how, you know, names change. You know, a week ago you was a stand-up dude, now you dropping names. Shit was all good just a week ago. You know, you thinking, okay, so what's he gonna do? And he didn't give him up. He didn't give him up. And remember that scene? You had Paulie and the rest of the guys, they're standing right there. Hey, congratulations, you popped your cherry. Hey, that's exactly how I felt when I looked at Dominic Mysterio tonight. I'm seeing him get this initiation of a beating. It's like, okay, you want to be a pro wrestler? You want to be in with the WWE? Okay. You trying to be a future WWE superstar? I mean, you know it's going to happen and everything, but it literally felt like you were watching something from a fucking My Career Mode or whatever. As somebody was getting broke in, they were paying their fucking dues. And I'm just like picturing Paulie and hey, you broke your cherry. Good shit. Good shit. Dominic came out of there the real fucking MVP of that segment. Now I need for the 23-year-old, I need for him to be out. See, it's tricky because SummerSlam's, you know, what is it? It's next week, right? If I remember it right. They're saying 1 week from whenever. What is it here? 1 week from, let me look at the calendar here. Yeah, so not this week. We're going into SummerSlam. We're going to SummerSlam next weekend. So part of me would love to see Dominic off TV for the following week, because I'm just picturing the 23-year-old the next time we see him. I'm just picturing him having this deranged, sadistic look on his face. I don't know how much facial hair young Dominic can grow, but I would like to see some serious stubble. You know, I'd like to see some sideburns. I want to see almost a full beard coming in, but I want to see him basically in this current state of I can't eat, I can't sleep. All I've been thinking about is Seth Rollins. All I've been thinking about is what he did to my dad. All I've been thinking about is what he did to Murphy. I'm sorry. All I keep thinking about is what Murphy did to me. All I keep thinking about is what Rollins did to me. Payback. Oh, I got that receipt and it's coming for you. That's what I'm picturing. So I hope that we don't get a clean-shaven Dominic whenever this bout comes about between he and Rollins. Now, I wouldn't mind seeing something come about where maybe Rollins has a tune-up match next week and he's expecting Murphy to be by his side. Murphy's never by his side. Maybe they show some shit backstage and we see Murphy is pretty much laid out or whatever. You know, maybe you could do some shit like that. Are we going to get some type of a tease, though, where maybe Dominic is possibly thinking about putting on the mask? You know, that's my big question right there. How are we going to eventually get Dominic into the mask? Or we're never going to put Dominic in the mask. You know, that's something else that I can't help but think about. I mean, look, I don't blame WWE if they don't want to put him behind the mask. He's a good looking kid. He's got a great looking face. Hits all the age demographics for the women, you know, young women. I don't blame them if they decide, no, you know, he's too handsome looking. We're gonna leave him be without the mask. That's fine, but going into this match against Seth Rollins and everything, you gotta have this guy look like a fucking maniac possessed. No doubt about it. I'm not sure if you guys agree with me on that, but that's just where I'm coming from. Hey, definitely want to take this time out. Say thanks for checking out the show. If you guys are enjoying the show so far, do me a huge favor and make sure, if you haven't hit the like, you hit the like, subscribe, all that good stuff. It helps ultimately more people be able to discover the show with great ease. So, awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Oh, shit. And I got some breaking news. Here. This is so awesome. I like when I'm able to share breaking news with you all. Yeah, breaking news here. So, dear Mr. Sanders, I'll read it all to you. Dear Mr. Sanders, thank you for being a part of the Rock and Wrestling Rager at C waiting list. We now have availability for our October 2021 sailing and are stocked to give you the opportunity. Oh, stoked. I apologize. I should really wear my glasses. Are stoked to give you the opportunity to join us. You may book your cabin at the following time or any time after by... Okay, so this is awesome. Yeah, so kind of give you guys a little bit of an update here. So, and it's not long-winded. It is wrestling related too. Again, this is Chris Jericho's Rock and Wrestling 3 joint. So, as you all know, we were supposed to tie the knot this year. We were supposed to tie the knot in May. But sadly, with the whole COVID shit and all that, it just pretty much... And I've been paying very close attention to what's been going on in Florida as opposed to my girl. And I just have not been liking the numbers I've been seeing of COVID cases in Florida. I don't like how the governor is operating down there. I've just lost all faith in fucking Florida. So I told my girl, I said, you know what? Here's what I've been noticing with Florida. I gave her all my information. I even told her, I said, look, you go ahead, you pay attention, see if you agree with me. If you still want to go out there to Florida, okay, cool. So after she did her research as well, she's like, okay, yeah, I'm noticing what you're noticing because we matched up info. She said, okay, so what's the plan? So now we're basically going to be holding the wedding out in the DMV. And then a couple of months after the wedding, we are going to go on. I told her, I said, well, you know what would be cool? You know, why not go on the Chris Jericho cruise? You know, if it's even still an option. And she said, well, She said, you know, well, won't you be in podcasting mode? I said, no, I would actually just be I'm trying to enjoy honeymoon. I'm trying to enjoy just being a fan. And she was like, okay, well, let me think about it. I'll get back to you. Because at that point, she wasn't really sure if that was something maybe she wanted to do. You know, her thing for a cruise, she wanted to do maybe a smooth jazz cruise or maybe a Turner Classic Movies cruise. She wanted to do something like that. She really wasn't too excited about a wrestling and a rock music cruise. That didn't really quite appeal to her, even though she likes the wrestling. So she thought about it a little bit more after a few days, and she said, okay, no, you know what? Let's go ahead, let's do it. Let's go ahead. So, and we still gotta figure out when the date for our wedding is. I know it's going to be in 2021. I want to say we're going to be doing it I think we're doing it late May 2021 or early June of 2021. And then basically we have those few months of a break period where we can, get our things in order. Now, we are going to have a nice little honeymoon after we get married. We're probably going to go up to Niagara Falls, most likely, because that's what we've been passionately been talking about left and right. So we're going to go up to Niagara Falls, and then on the way back, I love Times Square. So shout out to my people in New York. Anytime I get an opportunity to go to New York, that's one of my favorite hangout areas. But on the way back, after we get done with the honeymoon in Niagara Falls, we're going to hang out in Times Square for a bit. So that's pretty much the whole honeymoon. And then a couple of months later, we go ahead, we do the cruise. So yeah, so I will definitely be sharing pictures and everything else I can share. I was trying, you guys noticed, I was trying very hard to get on that first cruise. And I had put at least a down deposit down for the very first Jericho cruise. But finances got tight real fucking quick for that first cruise. And sadly, I just was not able to pull it off. And it sucked too, because I actually had a couple of listeners, hey man, yeah, I did the fucking cruise at your recommendation based off all the information you were sharing, and I was looking forward to having an opportunity to meet you and the missus. You know, hey, maybe on the next one. So if any of you guys have already put money down for Jericho's cruise, if you plan on going, let me know. Or maybe we try to look out for one another, have a good drink or whatever. Good shit, good shit. But I'm stoked. I'm fucking stoked. Gonna be going on a Jericho cruise. All right. So getting back to Raw, Dominic, once again, good shit. Good shit that he had right there. I was more interested in what Dominic was going to do as opposed to Seth Rollins. I didn't particularly, although I will say this. Lately, Seth Rollins has grown on me from the standpoint of I just want to see him get the living shit kicked out of him. And what Seth Rollins was doing tonight, hi Dad, hi Dad, hey Papa Mysterio, you watching? You watching? I love that. I love that. It just made me hate Seth Rollins even more. And I like that, at least for this week, I don't know how it was for you guys, but it actually felt a little bit dialed back, just a little bit of the Rollins. We didn't have Rollins just going on, and he's just lost out there. I don't know what to do. I'm trying to kill time. It didn't really feel like that this week. So that was another major plus for me. Raw Underground, major fucking plus. Gone were the women. I didn't get a chance to comment on this last week for its grand debut. I was not a fan of seeing the women in the little fucking cages. Why do they have these fucking disco neon fucking lights on them? But everywhere else, when you're looking at this Fight Club arena atmosphere, those lights are not found anywhere else. And, okay, they're supposed to be dancing, but they're moving like they're constipated. I didn't particularly care for that. I thought that was quite fucking stupid. So I was happy to see that they cut that. Very happy to see they cut that. Shane McMahon, they kind of dialed him back just a little bit. I felt that they spammed Shane McMahon out a little bit too much last week. Okay. So let's see. We got everything right here. Okay. So who here wants to fight with this guy in the ring? Who's gonna fight? You gonna fight? Anybody want to fight? Fight. Anybody want to fight? Come on, step in the ring. Anybody want to fight? All right. We got a fight right here. All right. Go ahead, fight. You know, and then, you know, they're beating the shit out of each other. Okay, that's enough. He's had enough. Well, let him go. He's had enough. All right. Well, Raw Underground. Yeah, that's good. That's good stuff, right? That, for me, was just, okay, Shane, dial it back, buddy. Dial it back. So, they dialed Shane back just a little bit. But, you know, I'm still trying to figure my way out with this. Because, look, we all know Shane McMahon, obviously huge MMA fan. Huge MMA fan. I am seeing elements of Josh Barnett's little wrestling MMA thing that he was doing. I don't know if he's still doing that. You guys will have to let me know. I cannot sadly watch everything that's out there. But I know from the little bit I remember seeing off and on over the years, I remember saying, okay, this is kind of impressive what Josh Barnett was doing. So it definitely reminded me of a watered down version of that. And it also reminded me of one of my all-time favorite Keanu Reeves movies. I would encourage anybody to check it out. You'll get the GIF on Twitter. Man of Tai Chi. It's actually a movie that Keanu Reeves directed, starred in as well. He plays a pretty badass fucking villain in that fucking movie too, man. Great ass fucking villain. But with what they were doing with Raw Underground, I was reminded of Josh Barnett's little promotion, and then I'm reminded of Man of Tai Chi, you know, just a bit watered down and everything. And if you were to ask me, Lee, do you see any little bit of a dilemma that's going on right here, you know, with this Raw Underground? There's only one thing that, and I'm surprised nobody else has really spoke up about this yet. Maybe after tonight, more and more of my colleagues will pose this same question to their listeners as well. Can anybody explain to me, and I'm not being a dick, can anybody explain to me what is the whole purpose of Raw Underground? Simple question. What's the whole purpose? You know, okay, if you're trying to show me something that's more nitty, you're trying to show me something that's more gritty, okay. But what's the whole purpose of Raw Underground? Let me be more specific with my line of questioning. What is exactly the whole purpose of these men and women fighting in Raw Underground? So, for example, I'm a big fan of Highlander, the franchise itself. Was especially a big fan of the TV fucking franchise. So we all know, anybody that has watched Highlander, right? You got Duncan MacLeod of the Clan MacLeod. You know, he's been an immortal for thousands of years. And basically, you know, these people that are immortals, they're essentially Highlanders. So they're all fighting for the ultimate prize, right? This grand fucking prize that they all are fighting for. And essentially, you know, in order to get this grand prize, there can be only one. So essentially, this is why they're all fighting. And in order to be the victor, you know, if you come across another Highlander, you know, hey, y'all could be good friends and all that shit all you want, but eventually, somebody's head gonna have to get cut off. So might as well happen with a best friend, right? If you're gonna have your head get cut off by somebody, why not let it be your best friend rather than some Joe Blow, right? So for me, okay, that's Highlander. That's the grand prize. What's the whole purpose of the NBA when you're watching these games play about? Okay, the ultimate goal is the NBA Finals. It's all about holding up that NBA championship. What's the whole point of the NFL, the 17, 18, 19 weeks? It's all about the Super Bowl, correct? MLB, you get it. So what I need for WWE to work on in the coming weeks is what's the grand prize for this whole Raw Underground? You know, if you want to present something to the fans that's nitty and gritty and, you know, anything goes, blah this, blah that, okay, I'm down for that. Here's something I would even be okay with, but you gotta have some type of caveat be attached to it. If you want to have Raw Underground basically be, hey, this is a place where those that feel neglected, that feel rejected, that feel that they are not being given opportunities between Raw, SmackDown, NXT, NXT UK, come as you are, as you were, as we want you to be. Shout out if you get that song reference. You're welcomed here at Raw Underground. Okay, I'm down with that. But there still needs to be some type of... Where's that carrot? Where's that carrot in storyline that makes the fans say, okay, well, I actually care about this. I'm actually invested in this. Because right now, it just comes off to me like a fucking alternate universe. It almost kind of feels like, what was the show back in the day? Was it VH1, 120 Minutes or some shit like that? It almost feels like I'm watching some type of underground bullshit. I'm ready for some Anthrax to play. I'm ready for some Public Enemy and and fucking Jane's Addiction. I'm ready for all kinds of like weird fucking music to play every time I fucking watch Raw Underground. That's just me though. That's just me. But if they can just kind of fine tune that a little bit, that would be good. That would be good. Now, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I ain't mind seeing Shayna Baszler in action tonight. I love seeing her there at Raw Underground. I thought for sure she was getting ready to whoop a man's ass there. You know, but instead they had her ultimately face off against, what was it, 3 chicks? Okay, whatever. Cool. But, yeah, and here's the other thing. I expect consistency. That's the other thing as well with regards to Raw Underground. I expect consistency. We just had saw Shelton Benjamin. Who was the other cats? Shelton Benjamin, MVP, Bobby Lashley. They pretty much were dominating that whole goddamn thing. They pretty much were saying this is a hostile takeover. Okay, well, if you're telling us at home that this is a hostile takeover, then why did they not make an appearance tonight? To let everybody know that they're running the shots. I mean, that was so weird. So they gotta fix the consistency with that. But if they can just fine tune a lot of those things, look, I will tell you guys this much: it's better than Brawl for All. And if you guys had saw the fucking episode of Dark Side of the Ring, on that one, whew, boy, Jim Cornette and a few others, most stupidest goddamn thing. Yeah, it should never happen. Russo, on the other hand, well, you'll have to hear him in his own words. But, yeah. That's all I'm going to say with regards to Raw Underground tonight. That's all I'm going to say. Let's see. Asuka, Bayley, I got to give it up to those two girls. Very proud of them. Fantastic matchup tonight as a result of Asuka beating Bayley in that one-on-one matchup. She has earned the right to face Sasha Banks for the Raw Women's Championship at SummerSlam. Tell you, man, anytime you get me Asuka taking on Bayley or Asuka taking on Banks, it's been really awesome. I mean, they got great chemistry. There's fucking no denying that. Speaking of chemistry, speaking of great, Mickie James returning tonight. We hadn't seen Mickie James in a good minute. She actually was out on injury and everything. I have had a crush on Mickie James that goes back a couple of decades. So anytime I'm able to see her on my TV, I'm always happy. But as soon as I get happy, I get deflated because it's like, oh, Mickey's back. Mickey's now intertwined there with fucking, who is it? Lana and Natty. You don't hear anything right now for those of you listening to the audio because I just did that long dramatic pause of dead silence on purpose because it's... So, Mickie James is going to be seeing in-ring action for the very first time next week as she'll be taking on Natty. Yeah. So anyway, other than that, just looking at some other stuff that happened from Raw tonight. See if there's anything else I want to spend a couple of minutes talking about. Not really. I'm just going through the rest of the card here. You know what? I was talking about the women. Even though it was a short match, I'm going to give them some love too. Zelina Vega taking on Bianca Belair. Pretty fucking solid. I'll give them some props. That was actually pretty good. Shelton Benjamin taking on Apollo Crews was actually for me, I actually thought it was a good match. And something else I want to just comment on. And I'm glad we're still talking about Raw here. Apollo Crews. I got to give him mad props. He is improving dramatically as far as personality, as far as talking on the microphone goes. He has really been doing a good job. I don't know who's helping him behind the scenes. I don't know if that's a combination of MVP and I don't know what it is. Shelton, I don't know what it is, who's helping him, but whoever is giving him the advice that they're giving him, keep it up. It's paying off. He seems so damn comfortable. He seems so damn loose tonight as he was on the microphone. I loved it. I loved it. For me, this was the most comfortable I heard him on the microphone yet. And he's been in the WWE for a couple of years now. Loved it. And I told you guys again, gotta be consistent. That's the word. 2020, consistent. Gotta be consistent here. I told you guys, consistently. Apollo Crews, phenomenal in the ring. No doubt about that. But it's the personality. It's the personality that he has to work on. And, it's fucking dry as woof. And it's really starting to flush out more. So I like that. More pleased. Very, very pleased with him. Very pleased with him. He's coming along. Other than that, nothing else really jumped out at me tonight. You should know by now, we don't do no full-blown Raw recaps. That's pretty much the gist of the things that really kind of caught my eye the most there. Oh, also, you know what? Owens taking on Randy Orton was a good match as well. That was almost about 15 minutes long. Orton going over Owens. Actually, was pretty good as well. Nice finish. It was actually a pretty good finish as well. But Raw this week, pretty good. I do have a poll on Twitter and Facebook asking you guys, what did you think about tonight's Raw? And to Twitter we go now. For those of you that want to cast your vote on YouTube, maybe you don't have Twitter, you can cast your vote on YouTube. Head over to youtube.com/the RCWR show. Click on the communities tab and you can cast your vote that way. Polling results we go. So we polled our own followers on Twitter at the RCWR show. 27% of you gave Raw a thumbs down. Meanwhile, 73% of you gave it a thumbs up. That same poll we gave to WWE followers on the official account. 53% gave Raw a thumbs up. 47% gave it a thumbs down. Let's see what you guys had to say on YouTube. On YouTube, I am seeing 14% of you are giving this week's show a thumbs down. Meanwhile, 86% of you are giving it a thumbs up. I agree with the majority as far as the thumbs up goes. Not really too much was it was, for the most part, it was enjoyable. It was an enjoyable episode. I will say that. It was an enjoyable episode that they did this week. One thing that was not enjoyable about Raw was actually, you know what? And I can't believe I forgot this. I forgot my goddamn tablet. I got to get my tablet. So let's do this first. Let's have a perfect little segue here. And I got to get my tablet because I need my tablet. Let's do this. I want to give a shout out to some Patreon members. You guys that's watching the webcast, don't adjust anything. You're just going to see my screen go black for a hot second. But you guys that's checking out the audio, you guys are okay. Yeah, give me a quick second. I want to get my fucking tablet. I can't believe I forgot that. Let me just run in the other room real quick. See, I got the black screen on because it's okay to break the fourth wall, people, but I'm in my boxers and I got my shirt on. It's hot as hell over here. So, yeah, I don't want you guys seeing me in my damn boxers. Come on now. I gotta know you like that first. Come on now. All right, hang on a second, guys. Be right back. Yay! Okay. All right, we're good. Okay, I can just edit that out later. All right, we're back. Okay, so yeah, let me give a shout out to our Patreon members, and then we'll talk a little bit more about that whole Kamala situation. Patreon.com/RCWR show. Check out bonus audio and video content you won't be able to find anywhere else. You get access to the exclusive Patreon series, Impact Showdown. You longtime listeners know Impact Showdown. That was one of my beloved shows that was covering all things Impact Wrestling related, TNA related. Well, we're now doing new episodes again, exclusively to our Patreon audience. So check that out. Shout out to Patreon members Sean Kenter, Justin Ripstock. Shout out to Justin, by the way. Justin, I got to catch up with him. I know he said he was going to be returning to work for the first time since he actually was diagnosed with COVID. So he had to do self-quarantine and all that for a bit. So I'm assuming he got tested again and he's okay now. But he said that he was supposed to be going back to work Monday. So shout out to him. Also, shout out to Patreon member Gino. Shout out to you, buddy. Shout out to John David. Shout out to Michael Wolf. Special shout out to Tony Bing Gaming. Tips, tricks, news, walkthroughs, reviews for Marvel Strike Force, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, the upcoming Square Enix game, Marvel's Avengers, which you all know by now if you're PS4 owners. A little bit of controversy there because if you're a PS4 user, you get exclusive access to a downloadable and playable Spider-Man character. Should really be no surprise because Sony, they have had this deal worked out with Spider-Man for that fucking platform for fucking years now. But PS4 users, they were able to get first crack at the beta version of Marvel's Avengers. This coming week is going to be Xbox users, PC users, and pretty much going into the third week of August, it's just everywhere. Everybody can fucking play it. So I'm actually going to be playing Marvel's Avengers for the Xbox One. I'll be on Twitch this weekend showing you guys some of the gameplay footage, giving you all my overall takeaway of the game and everything. So make sure you peep that out. Also, we got some sponsors we need to recognize for tonight's RCWR show. I definitely want to go out of my way and show them some love. We got a couple of new sponsors that we're going to be working with for the next couple of weeks. So very happy to have them on board. Yes, sir. Very happy to have them on board. Definitely want to tell you guys all about them. Our first one that I want to tell you about, actually bear with me a second here. Our first one that I want to tell you about, because one of them has a really cool special promotional deal that they got going on, and I know you guys will definitely love it. All right, so the first sponsor for tonight is opt.tv, kind of like you're opting out, but opt.tv. If you are ready to cut the cable, you've been ready. You just ain't been trying to leave because, hey, where else am I going to get a better deal? But if I could find the right deal and I can save a boatload of money, yeah, I'm fucking out of here. We all know in 2020, it can be pretty fucking hard, man. It can be really fucking hard. Them joints add up real quick. Those subscriptions adds up real fucking quick. Well, OptTV, they can help you out. They got prices low, starting at $6 for their packages, as low as $6. Now, if you use the promo code RCWR show, you can receive 20% off any product you select at checkout. Again, use the promo code RCWR show to receive 20% off any product you select at checkout. Now, maybe your money is a little bit tight right now. Maybe you want to instead take something on a little bit of a free spin. There is a free trial option that they have on there as well. So keep that in mind. Again, opt.tv. Again, opt.tv. We're also brought to you in part by Get Started with livingbenefits.com. Let me ask you guys something. Do you and your entire family have life insurance with Living Benefits? If not, keep listening. Will your insurance company pay you 70 to 90% of your policy's face value if you experience a qualifying terminal, chronic, or critical illness or critical injury? This may be one of the most important decisions of your life. Request a Living Benefits insurance quote today. Head over to livingbenefitsinsurancequote.com or give them a call at area code 773-609-2226. Again, 773-609-2226. Once again, that website is Get Started with Living livingbenefits.com. Appreciate these sponsors, especially Get Started with Living Benefits and op.tv, who we're going to be working with for the next several weeks. All right, couple little headlines we can dive into as we get ready to wind on down here. And I am keeping track of how long we've been on the air here. It looks like so far we're doing okay. We've been on the air for about an hour, 5 minutes. At this point, I don't mind it if we go about maybe, if we go about an hour, 20 minutes, I'm actually okay with that. If we can end it a little sooner than that, that's fantastic. All right, so, we lost a good one over the weekend. We lost Kamala, James Harris, as you guys can see, once again, checking out the webcast version of the show. I'm holding up his book here. We lost another one. I've read this book a couple of times. I remember when I had first got this book. I got this book as part of a combo package. I got the book and I got his shirt. Going back to 2015, this book had started off as a Kickstarter campaign, and Kamala was in a position at the time where financially he was hurting pretty bad, and he needed to try to bring in money. He was trying to take care of his expenses and take care of his family. He was trying to do whatever humanly was possible that he could do when the idea of the book had came about. And it was I remember those times. It's hard to believe that was actually back in 2015. It really, because it feels like maybe it was only 2, maybe 3 years ago. It's hard to believe that was going as far back as 2015. But we lost another one. We lost him over the weekend at the age of 70. His wife had revealed to a reporter through Bleacher Report, if I'm not mistaken, circumstances surrounding his death. Basically, he was diagnosed with COVID-19 this past Wednesday, and he was hospitalized immediately right then and there, and basically he died a few days later. He died sometime Sunday he had passed. And she suspects that he probably had got the COVID on one of his trips for dialysis. I mean, what a fucked up way to go out. Seriously, what a fucked up way to go out. And, one of the first things that came to my mind as soon as I had found out about his passing, and you can see it for yourself on Twitter, first thing that clicked in my mind, I said, rest in peace, Kamala. This is a man that was plagued with so many unfortunate health problems. And if there is a paradise, may he be experiencing that sweet paradise, and may he be experiencing no more pain. I mean, because he just had, towards the end of his life, it was just such a bad down roller coaster. Normally you could say up and down, but it was just a down roller coaster. Was diagnosed with diabetes back in the early 90s, and ultimately he lost both of his legs due to complications with diabetes, poor health, high cholesterol, bad blood pressure. I mean, just, oof. And that shit definitely hits close to home to me. I'm not saying this just because, just to be saying it, just to be killing air, but he reminded me a lot, and probably one of the reasons why I kind of gravitated towards him as a kid growing up. But he reminded me a lot of my grandpa Cotton. My grandpa Cotton, they swear they're fucking brothers, maybe even twins. It's like so fucking eerie. I wish I could show you guys a picture of my grandpa, but my grandpa looked just like fucking Kamala. No bullshit. Intimidating as hell, same size, all that shit. And the diabetes, that hits close to home, because I lost my grandpa due to diabetes. It was so sad too, because I remember when me and my mom, when we were getting ready to leave Chicago for California, my grandpa said to my mom, do you have to leave? Look, I'll give you the house. I'll put the house in your name. Y'all can stay with me. Y'all will be able to continue to just, stay here, and, you just take care of me. And, it was really a plea. When I look back on it now, I mean, I was a young kid back then, but it was so profound. It stayed with me for so many years, even all the way up to now. And I get it. What he really was trying to say was, hey, once you guys leave, I don't have anybody that's going to be able to take care of me. Yeah, he had a stepson, but that stepson had a serious drug problem, was out all different times of day, night, wasn't going to be able to take care of him the way me and my mom were able to take care of him. But my mom didn't want that. She did not want that, and instead she wanted to go to California and wanted to have us go stay with, her brothers and her mom, my grandma. So that pretty much was the end of that, and it still bothers me to this very day. My grandpa Cotton, he didn't live that much longer after we went to California. He lived probably about, maybe I would say, 3 more months, and then he died. And from what me and my mom had learned, as far as him being taken care of, being given his medicine and all that other shit, nah. So it just sucks. And diabetes runs in my family. I am a type 2 diabetic. Now, knock on wood, I recently had a follow-up with my doctor, and, going over my blood work, saying, okay, hey, look, your A1C, this is great. But he had genuine concern for me, because he said, hey, your cholesterol is a bit high. I'm really concerned about that. He's like, especially you creeping up on 40. It's like, I'm going to give you some new medicine to add on top of your metformin. And it's basically going to, help take care of your cholesterol, continue what you're doing. He's like, I see you're losing weight, keep doing what you're doing, and let's check up on your A1C. Let's check up on your cholesterol levels and all that in about 3 months. Maybe we can get you off the cholesterol medicine. Like, okay, all right, cool. So, trust me, when you have type 2 diabetes, it's very challenging. It's very, very, very fucking challenging. So Kamala James Harris, when I say this is a guy that had experienced so many fucking health problems over the years, and then when you just stop and you hear about his upbringing, being a little kid, going all the way up to now, it's something that you can't help but you say, damn, that's fucked up. But then at the same time, you go, man, you talk about somebody that had a really, it's one of those type of stories where, man, here's this guy, he's down. Of all the luck in the world, this guy is down, but somehow he keeps, in the face of some what the fuck darkness, in the face of great adversity, somehow this man is able to rise up and overcome it. And, all these obstacles that kept hitting him, somehow he was able to fucking endure it and conquer it. And you just go back to when he was a little kid out in Mississippi. Him and his sisters, he lost his dad at an early age. I don't even think the guy was 5 or 6 years old yet. And he lost his dad. His dad was shot and killed. Had something to do with a fucking dice game. So, fucking Kamala had to become a man at a very young age. At a very young age. This guy would eventually drop out of high school to try to do his best to support his family. In between all that, he was a sharecropper. When he dropped out of school, I believe in the 9th or 10th grade is when he dropped out. And he did so to pick up a life of crime as a burglar. And eventually he was caught by the police. And the police said to him straight up, okay, look, these are your options. Either you leave the state of Mississippi, or you're going to be found dead somewhere. Now, you take that how you want it, but Mississippi, he passed at the age of 70, so you kind of do the math as far as that whole time frame there. And being black, a lot of segregation and a whole bunch of other shit going on. So he pretty much collected his belongings and everything, and he eventually had moved. One of the first states that he moved to, he was doing truck driving work, little odd jobs here and there. And it really wouldn't be until he had moved, I don't know if it was Arkansas, I can't remember the state right now, but there was a particular state he had moved to where he crossed paths with WWE alumni or WWF alumni, pro wrestling legend Bobo Brazil. And Bobo Brazil pretty much had opened up the door for Kamala Harris as, it's pro wrestling thing. Why not? I got the size for it. I got the look for it. Yeah, sure. Why not? Why not fucking go there? And he got training from Tiny Tim Hampton. And pretty much the rest was history. His very first manager that he got when he got into wrestling and everything was the late Percy Pringle, aka Paul Bearer. And he won a couple of championships when he was wrestling for the NWA Tri-State promotion, to the point he actually became the Southeastern Championship wrestler. Y'all know some of the names that he was running around as: Sugar Bear Harris, Bad News Harris, all kinds of funny names there. He worked in Germany. He worked in many parts throughout the UK. And back then, when he was wrestling in those areas, he was known as the Mississippi Mauler. But where the whole Kamala thing really started, and I know you guys probably will not believe this, but the whole canvas for Kamala, it all started when he went to Continental Wrestling. He went to Continental Wrestling. And the story about that is so funny, the way that had came about. But when it was all said and done, he's out there and visiting a friend of his, cross paths, chance encounter, cross paths with Jerry Lawler, who was pretty much running things there. And Lawler was like, hey, why don't you come on over, work for us? It's like, yeah, okay, sure. So Jerry Lawler, Jerry Jarrett, they basically worked with James Harris in building the canvas for Kamala. To the point, and it's really cool, the whole Kamala, how it came about. But before it became Kamala, it was Kimala. Put an I in there. Kimala. Might be a couple of different ways you can pronounce it, but there was an I in there before ultimately that was dropped and the A had got put in there and everything. And it was developed for Harris by the great Mephisto. And the character is basically the way it was described was a Ugandan headhunter with face and body paint that was copied from a Frank Frazetta painting. Now, if you guys don't know anything about Frank Frazetta, this guy, you've seen his artwork. You just don't know the name. But if you are familiar with your artwork and you know about the oil on canvas painting of Conan the Destroyer from, I think, 1971, yeah, that was Frank Frazetta that fucking did that. He has received numerous awards for his artwork, to the point he is in many art hall of fames, as an artist, as a painter. He's in many hall of fames. And the backstory for the Kamala character, basically he's a former bodyguard of the president of Uganda, Idi Amin. that was basically discovered by J.J. Dillon. I mean, so pretty much the rest is like fucking history with regards to that. But that's where it all started. It started in Continental Wrestling for the Kamala character. And from there, he made his debut in the CWA, May of 1982, with Dillon as his manager, losing to Lawler by DQ in a sold-out Mid-South Coliseum. Then, a couple of months later, he defeated Jerry Lawler for the AWA Southern Heavyweight Championship, which he held until August of that year. Toward the end of the year, he feuded with the imposter Kamala 2. So a couple of highlights right there. He also had a stint in Mid-South Wrestling, World Class Championship Wrestling, definitely a promotion I know about pretty well, where he mainly feuded with the Von Erichs. He also had a great feud there with Harley Race for the championship. Everything ultimately led to him going into the WWF, the first run in the WWF, which was in 1984. And that all had came about because of an old colleague that he used to work with many years prior in another promotion, Andre the Giant. Andre the Giant was so impressed with him and felt that there was a lot of good money to be made. You know, he kept hounding the people in WWF/E. Hey, you got to bring this guy James Harrison. You know, he's money. And so ultimately, they brought him in, and he was managed by Classy Freddie Blassie. I'm sure you guys remember the infamous little vignette that they had of Kamala where it looked as though he was eating raw chicken, and the way they kept tricking you with the cut scenes and everything. You see him spitting out feathers and all that. I mean, definitely made a fucking impression on me. I can remember being a kid looking at Kamala kind of going, man, this dude is kind of creeping me out. You know, he's kind of intimidating me a little bit. And, you know, this is kind of around that period where you had Roots Generations was running around, Shaka Zulu. So, I mean, as far as following the trends of pop culture and everything, I mean, the timing of this character, you know, remember, got the start in Continental Wrestling and everything, but it's just, again, following the trends of pop culture. Yeah, finger was definitely on the fucking pulse right there. Definitely was on the pulse right there. As far as his opponents during that first run in the WWF, B. Brian Blair, Salvatore Balamo, Chief J. Strongbow. Of course, one of the biggest highlights of his career during that first stint in the WWF/E was when he faced Hulk Hogan for the heavyweight championship. They wrestled to a double countout. And then he began a series of matches against his friend and colleague and Andre the Giant. Ultimately led to a steel cage match, which he lost after Andre sat on my man's chest. And his final appearance for the WWF back then was at the Royal Rumble. And then from there, he went to the AWA, feuded with the model Rick Martel. Now, the model Rick Martel, if I remember right, the model Rick Martel really did not happen until WWF. But at this point, when Rick Model ultimately became the AWA World Heavyweight Champion, this was during that period where AWA was kind of like on its last legs, and they kind of had like a couple of good pieces that was going on, you know. But yeah, you know, and also in between all of that, there was the great feud with Sergeant Slaughter. They had the Ugandan death match. There was also a boot camp match. Look those two up if you guys want to see some cool, crazy shit. But yeah, when he was in AWA, I just kind of remember, and he pretty much was with AWA until that promotion ultimately collapsed. And y'all pretty much know the history about that. 1986, we pretty much saw him return to the WWF/E. This go round, he was managed by the Wizard. Also, Kim Chi. True story, that was actually portrayed by Steve Lombardi You guys know your people there. And he faced Hulk Hogan in a series of matches for the championship. That pretty much was, really the pinnacle point of his career. That was pretty much like the apex for his career when it's all said and done. There was also the great feud that he had going on with Jake the Snake Roberts. I still remember the iconic fucking joint where Jake Roberts was trying to scare the shit out of Kamala with the snakes, and the fear in Kamala's eyes. Here's this big, intimidating, looking warrior of a man. And the mind games that Jake Roberts was able to play on fucking Kamala, you're going, wait a minute. Like, whoa. Oh, there's a weakness right here for fucking Kamala. I mean, just the psychology alone for the feud that they had, it's not something that you see today. It's not something that you see today. You definitely need to go out of your way and peep out that whole feud that had went down. You also had that period there where ultimately Kamala had broke away from Kimchi, Wizard, and all of them, and he started to get managed by Slick. Slick basically didn't like the way he was being treated, and it was kind of like basically they were trying to turn Kamala into a baby face, from what I recall and everything. But then once again, it was all said and done, Kamala abruptly left the WWF 1987, something that he's documented many times. He said, hey, as far as the pay went, man, they weren't really paying me enough money. And the story has changed many times over the years, but it's pretty much remained the same, which was, hey, I worked this one match and I get paid $13,000, $14,000, $15,000, and I hear that the Hulkster is getting like fucking $500,000. What the fuck is going on with that? How is that fair? I should be getting some of that marquee money as well. If I'm not getting exactly the same amount of money, I should be getting as close to that amount of money as well. What the hell is going on right there? How's that fair? And, that pretty much was it for Kamala. Now, there were a couple of stints there. I remember he was one of the options when it came to a Taboo Tuesday pay-per-view where WWE Universe helped choose Eugene's tag team partner. And ultimately, the fans voted for Jimmy Superfly Snuka. However, Kamala still got involved. I guess they had it already scripted that, okay, this is what's going to happen instead. So Kamala was still able to make an appearance. And then you had something go about with Kamala during a Diva Search segment where they basically had the Diva Search contestants try to... I'm trying to figure out how to say it without making it sound so grotesque. But basically it was turn Kamala on. Do whatever you got to do, dance, whatever, turn Kamala on. Go ahead. And you're going, yeah, okay, yeah, that should be. But those were kind of like the last few appearances that I remember seeing of him in the WWE. Of course, he had hooked up with that fucking guy that sounds like Kronos, the fucking lawyer. I can't think of his name. You guys know exactly the WWE lawyer I'm talking about. The one that always goes after former WWE superstars, trying to get them involved in a multi legal class action lawsuit for concussions and all this other shit. He had tried to get Kamala in on that, and you can't help but wonder if maybe that's part of the reason why when you look at earlier tonight we didn't see any type of a 2-3 minute montage for Kamala, is if maybe the powers that be are still a bit salty over that shit. Things that make you go, you can't help but wonder that. But, he had some sporadic appearances pretty much after the WWE. He pretty much wrestled for many independent wrestling promotions. He did it on a part-time basis. He mainly was doing odd jobs. He had a truck and he was doing odd jobs, taking care of his family and everything. And I still remember for me, right before he passed, I wouldn't really be truly reminiscent if I didn't bring this up. I actually was on the air at the time when all of this shit was going on. Not live on the air, but I was doing my show when this news had first broke out and everything. And that's the infamous Kamala Harris, Dawn Marie fiasco. Now, I just want to kind of give you guys the bullet points because I don't want it being long-winded. But basically, in a nutshell, Dawn Marie had created this organization, if you will, that would take care of retired wrestlers that were down on their luck. They needed help with medical expenses, trying to get money together for their mortgage, all of these other types of things, right? And so Dawn Marie had this organization. All you had to do was just reach out and they would raise X amount of money and they would try to, help out these families and all of that. So supposedly Dawn Marie was able to raise X amount of money for Kamala. Well, here's the problem with that. Kamala never saw one fucking dime. And there's a video that's on YouTube. It's about 8 minutes long. But type in Kamala Dawn Marie. Now you're gonna sadly, and it's so sad because when he initially passed, yeah, and you're like, oh man, Kamala died. I knew which Kamala it was because I know my wrestling. But sadly, you had a whole bunch of people that were just, oh man, Kamala Harris. The light-skinned pretty woman, who everybody is hoping is going to be named as Joe Biden's VP. Everybody was thinking she somehow had died. But I knew better. And look it up online. It's on YouTube. You're going to see a bunch of the female Kamala Harris in the first few thumbnails. But you'll know it when you see it. You'll know his face and all that. It's about 8 minutes long. And he basically says, hey, yeah, Dawn Marie and her organization, they claim that they had raised X amount of money, but yeah, I'm here to tell you, I didn't see not one dime. Not one dime had came to me, so forget her company. She can take her little company, her little organization, and she can stick it up her ass, because it's bogus, as far as I'm concerned. Anything that y'all want to do for me, for my family, hey, send it to, and he gave out his email. It's like, you want to send your thoughts, you want to send your prayers, hey, I'll take it. I'll take whatever I can get. It's like, but Dawn Marie, her organization, Dawn Marie, stick it up your ass. I just remember how he kept saying it. He's like, Dawn Marie, you take. I can't really do his voice. Like, you stick it up your ass. I gotta get ready. Wrap this video up. I got a lot of things I want to say, but I gotta get ready to wrap this video up. But before I get ready to wrap this up, just a few more things I want to say. Good shit. Good shit right there. And I remember, I think it was Blue Meanie, if you guys recall. I think it was Blue Meanie that also gave his 2 cents about this whole Dawn Marie thingamajigga. And Blue Meanie was like, yeah, you know what? I kind of call bullshit on this whole Dawn Marie thing as well, because, yeah, not for nothing, but buddy of mine, Jerry Lynn, and back then Jerry Lynn was having some serious financial problems with regards to surgery, because he was having some back problems. And basically, long story short, Jerry Lynn had never received any of the raised money that Dawn Marie through this organization had brought up and everything. And ultimately, that Dawn Marie organization, it went out of business. When it's all said and done, it went out of business. There was a lot of shady bullshit that was going on with that organization, and ultimately, it went out of business. So to think that I was on the air when that story had first broke out, and when you hear this and then you hear Don Marie, and Don Marie's going, oh, well, what Kamala is saying, that story is a bunch of bullshit because we sent him the check. I have the receipt. And, he returned the check. And I remember, and I'm sure, I can't wait to hear if he reminisces about this as well. But we both were kind of thinking the same fucking thing. But he actually did his fucking homework. I mean, he went batshit nutty when he was doing his homework on this. And shout out to my friend Don Tony. He fucking connected the dots, and I was already like, something don't sound right. But when you go back and, Don Marie's saying, okay, this is when the check was mailed out and blah this, blah that. When you just cross-reference it with the dates and all this other shit, it's like, yeah, honey, you never sent that check out. You never sent that check out. And so, yeah, she was never the same after that. She was never the same after that. But yeah, I remember when that went down, I had reached out to Kamala. And I reached out to Kamala and I said, hey, most unfortunate what all had happened here with this Don Marie situation. Hey, I just want you to know that, from one black man to another, look, I appreciate all the contributions you made to the sport of pro wrestling. I would love to have you on the show. Maybe we can, have you speak about this whole Don Marie situation, more out in the open. And I even told him, I said, look, if you want to maybe be compensated for your time, name your price, we could do whatever. And he said, yeah, I'm interested. I wouldn't mind coming on the show, sure. And I remember saying to him, hey, not trying to put you in a got you moment or anything like that, but if we were able to get Don Marie on the show, would you be down for, talking with her as well? And I could kind of essentially be a moderator, not trying to do any gotchas or anything like that, but just so that things can kind of get squashed. And he was like, yeah, I'm down for that as well. Sure, no problem. And I remember I had reached out to Dawn Marie and her people and tried to give them an opportunity to come on the show and, try to clear their name and, whatever they felt was a discrepancy or whatever. And mum was the word. Didn't hear a peep out of them. And like I said, Kamala, he said he was down for doing the show. And I remember there was like a couple of more exchanges that we had with him. It was so long ago. I can't remember if there was some health issues going on, but ultimately the interview never happened. Sadly. But way back then when all that shit had first started, yeah, we did initiate the dialogue to, bring him on the show. And, he was very appreciative of the kind words and everything. So, yeah, Kamala is definitely somebody when I look back, especially being a young kid in the 80s, I look back on particularly, black celebrities, black athletes, black personalities, something that I could gravitate towards and say, oh man, that person's kind of cool. For me growing up as a kid in the 80s, aside from Michael Jordan, which for me, in my mind, because of the era I grew up in, my timeline, one of the greatest basketball players that I've seen in my lifetime. For me, my respected list, the closest second place I've seen to that is Kobe Bryant. As far as third place goes, I've gotta go with LeBron. It's so funny too, because I remember we did this list last time, and I think it was Mish. Mish said, well, what about Charles Barkley? I said, well, Mish, sadly, I don't remember that much about Charles Barkley. Even though that's kind of in my timeline, I don't really remember that much about Barkley. I remember more about Isaiah Thomas, Allen Iverson, there's a few, Karl Malone, John Stockton, Yeah, there's many others I remember before I can remember Barkley, but that's just my list. It could change. Could very well change, especially if LeBron has a couple of more championships. It could change. But other than Michael Jordan, I would say that Junkyard Dog, definitely Kamala, Coco Beware. I gravitated towards those guys. I did. I thought they were cool as hell, and yeah, they were just these wonderful, colorful characters. I just found myself glued to the TV, and I just thought they were the greatest fucking thing that was going on. I can remember even the times where they would lose. Hey, I didn't care. They might have lost that week, but they still had me in their fucking corner, and Kamala James Harris was definitely one of those guys. One of those guys, without a doubt. One of his last appearances, he did something for a promotion called Juggalo. And I sadly cannot remember who the opponent was that he faced. That wasn't really on a broadcast type of level, though. So for me, the last thing I remember seeing him do, and this was before he had both of his legs amputated, he made an appearance at Sanjay Dutt's wedding. Sanjay Dutt was trying to get married to SoCal Val, if you all remember the storyline. Coco Beware was there. Kamala was there. I even want to say maybe George the Animal Steel was there. But I just remember these WWF legends, led by fucking Kamala. They were beating the holy shit out of Sanjay Dutt. And I just remember marking out just, oh man, this is badass. But yeah, he got his ass handed to him, Sanjay Dutt. That was one of my favorite moments right there. But that was like one of the last things I remember. And then after that, it pretty much was just... But this is a guy that had many ups, many downs. Had his fair share of some battles, especially on the health side of things. I can't stress it enough, and I can't help but say it again. If there is an afterlife, I hope that there is a sweet paradise reserved just for him, and all the health problems that he was having, the pain, just everything, I hope it's no more. I sincerely mean that. So rest in power, Kamala. You'll definitely be missed. Rather unfortunate that WWE couldn't do the right thing. Now, some of you may say, well, Lee, they got NXT, they've got SmackDown, maybe they can do a little something. Boys and girls, for me, first impressions mean everything. They mean the world to me. If you're not going to do it on your Monday show, one day removed from the entire wrestling community reacting to the news, if you're not going to pay proper homage during your shows, I mean, after all, you got 3 hours to kill on a Monday, and then you got 2 hours to kill on a Wednesday, and then you got 2 hours to kill on a Friday, and you can't find the time to put in a 2 to 3 minute montage. That kind of tells me all I need to know about how certain individuals feel about the man. That's just me. So, other than that, one other thing I want to get into, man, we went a little bit more into overtime here, man. I was trying to, but I feel pretty good. It's okay. I feel pretty good. One more thing I want to get into. This one is not as long-winded. I want to talk real quickly about the Fozzy show that came about. Now, let me pull up this image. I'm sure by now you guys have probably seen this bad boy, but if not, check that out. For those of you guys watching the web stream, check that out. Check that image out there. That is from a recent Fozzy concert. And this was a Fozzy concert that has gone down. I'm trying to see, where was this? This apparently was over the weekend in North Dakota. And I know some of you guys are going, what the fuck? Well, Jericho defended this, saying the reason why the shows have happened is because these states in North Dakota and South Dakota have low COVID cases, less than 1,000 in both states. Meanwhile, Florida had about 9,000 cases alone for that particular day. Jericho will go on to say the venues are either outside or they are half capacity. We are sold out tonight in Minot, I believe that's how you pronounce it, with I think 50% capacity. Last night we were sold out in South Dakota with 35% capacity. We hand out masks at the door, the temperature checks. We stay on the bus all day. The Fozzy crew and camp have been tested. Meanwhile, it looks as though there have been 9,663 cases in South Dakota and 7,713 cases in North Dakota, with a combined 257 deaths. At this time, there are 2,312 combined cases between the two states. Keep in mind, Jericho is slated to face Orange Cassidy one-on-one on this week's Dynamite. Now look, man, I'm like this. I've got my favorite artists. I'm sure just as many of you out there have your own respective favorite artists. And when you hear that tickets are on sale, hey, on the one hand, you can look at it from this standpoint. Much like airline tickets, this is a great time right now to be getting tickets to an airline or tickets to see your favorite artist, because there ain't going to be that many people that's going to be trying to go to these things with the pandemic going on. Not to mention, you can get these tickets for some really good ass fucking prices. Any other time you probably wouldn't be able to see some of these acts, depending on who they are exactly. So I can't look, if you ask me, just get me away from the podcast for a second. Lee, you down with this? You cool with this? No, I'm not okay with it. I'm not. But you know what? People are going to do what they're going to do when they're going to do it. Y'all need to understand, sadly, without getting too deep and too long-winded, we got people that, you've seen the videos with the mentally disturbed Karens that's out there that feel they don't need to be wearing a mask and all that other shit. You got some people that feel that just because this COVID thing has not happened to them directly, it has not happened to somebody they personally know, that it is a hoax. Nobody actually died from the COVID. They just died from something else. Whatever. A whole bunch of weird, stupid conspiracy theories. So you already got those groups of people that feel the way that they feel about this. And then honestly, you just got those that just, hey, I'm young. Well, I'm not going to live forever anyway, so fuck it. I'm going to do whatever. I get sick, I get sick. I drop dead, I drop dead. So, it's unfortunately, it's a catch-22. It's a catch-22. I cannot pass judgment on these people that decide, you know what, I'm going to go to this concert. I just hope that these people have enough common sense before they jump out there and do something at a next public gathering or meet up with friends, family. I hope that everybody around the world, if you're going to be going to a concert, I hope that after the concert, you self-quarantine yourself. Do what you need to do to go get your eggs, get your milk, get your bread or whatever, to from work, whatever. Do what you need to do, but really, you should be self-quarantining yourself. I mean, look at this picture. Look at this picture. Look how close all these people are with one another. Now, I'm not going to speculate on, looks like that person's wearing a mask. That person's not wearing a mask. I'm not going to speculate on any of that. But the fact that you got everybody grouped together, whole lot of sweating and a whole bunch of other shit that's going on, I mean, not exactly safe. Not exactly safe. If you were to ask me, hey, one of my all-time favorite acts, Robert Plant, got a chance to see him at Constitution Hall. Great time. Great fucking time. Had an opportunity to see Soundgarden at the old Patriots Center in Virginia. I mean, if you were to hit me up, just say, Chris Cornell's still alive and all that, and yo, man, tickets are on sale for as much as I would fucking love to do it. Like, if money were not an issue, and I care more about my health, so I would pass on that opportunity. Sadly, not everybody is gonna think like that. Yeah, but we do, as a society, we do need to be more cautious, and we definitely do need to be much more smarter in the decision making that we're going about when we're doing things like this. That's putting ultimately our health at risk. Our neighbors' health, our friend, family members. We do need to think ahead. I think Christopher Maloney had said it best. There was a really cool post that he had put out on Twitter. Let me try to see if I can even find that post. I might not be able to find it, but then again, I might be able to, because I really didn't put that many tweets out. But let me see if I might be able to find it here, because there was something really cool that he had said going into the weekend. And if I can find it, that's great. Otherwise, if I can't find it, oh well. Yeah, I did. Christopher Maloney, veteran actor. Y'all best know him from Law and Order SVU. Here's what he said. Those who flock to beaches, bars, and political rallies, putting their fellow citizens at risk, are not exercising freedom. They are displaying, as one commentator has noted, the weakness of a people who lack both the stoicism to endure the pandemic and the fortitude to defeat it. Good words right there. Couldn't say it any better. I mean, he pretty much summed that up in a nutshell. One last thing I want to talk about before we get ready to roll out of here. How are we doing on Showtime? We're doing pretty good. All right, so we're going to be done under the 2-hour mark. That's good. I don't mind going into OT, by the way. I've been paying attention to the time this entire time. I'm okay. But the shows are going to be pretty short. I promise you. One other thing I want to talk about, The Rock, and what a great week he had last week acquiring the XFL. This is great. This is fucking great. So, just to really put a nice pretty little ribbon around this, The Rock and his partners, they bought the XFL for $15 million. Remember, Vince McMahon had invested well over $200 million into this XFL reboot. The Rock's partners also includes his ex-wife, who has been his longtime business partner, Danny Garcia, along with the Redbird Capital Investment Partners Corporation. Remember, the XFL, they declared Chapter 11 bankruptcy April 13th, citing the financial hardships for them as a result of the pandemic. Also, you got to remember, on top of investing over $200 million into the XFL, Vince McMahon paid the former XFL commissioner, Oliver Luck, he gave him like a $35 million contract. You're like, well, what the fuck? This league was badass on so many levels. I love the way that they had the players and the coaches mic'd up, and you could hear what was going on with their game plan. I love that the sideline reporters were able to talk to some of the players and the coaches. Hey, you made that move. What was your thought process right there? Hey, obviously that didn't go the way you thought it was going to go down. What's your mentality right now? I love how they all had those little, that was pretty innovative, I personally felt. It was really giving the fan that, here you go. We're bringing it all to you. We're giving you more insight. We're giving you more behind the scenes. Hey, you want to know what's going on in the locker rooms there? Hey, we got your ticket. We got your VIP ticket. Just come on, hang with us. I like the new kickoff rule that they had implemented there, where the kicker kicked the ball in the air and in play between the 20-yard line and the end zone, while the coverage team lines up at the return side 35-yard line, and the return team lines up on the 30-yard line. It pretty much had guaranteed the kickoff would be competitive, but it also minimized the hell out of those high-speed collisions, which we all know now that we know what we know about, CTEs and, concussions and all of that shit. It was good. For me, it's a good move that The Rock is now behind this. I can't wait to see from a digital marketing standpoint, how are they going to go about really making the XFL succeed much further than what happened this past season? Because a troubling tale right here, you look at the 5 weeks of XFL football. The very first week, you had over 3 million viewers. Going into the second week, you had a little bit over 2 million viewers. The third week, you dipped to a little over 1.61 million viewers. The fourth week, you had a little over 1.38 million viewers. Now, the fifth week, you didn't even get 1 million viewers. For March the 8th, the game of the Battlehawks taking on the DC Defenders that was on FS1 Sunday afternoon, that pretty much had averaged 767,000 viewers. Meanwhile, the Vipers taking on the Wildcats on ESPN, that averaged about 833,000 viewers. So there was a downward trend that was continuing. So, you can't help but, look at those numbers and you say, okay, if anybody can really put legitimacy, into the XFL, really give it a nice, good, strong shot of adrenaline, a good chance of it succeeding. Okay, you put Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in there and his people. Okay, yeah, it has a shot. It does have a shot. Now, compare those numbers that I just talked about. Compare those numbers to when MLB first returned. When MLB first returned, ESPN saw a record audience for the first comeback games since that period of time. The matchup between the New York Yankees and the defending World Series champion, the Washington Nationals, had averaged 4.75 million viewers, the highest for a regular season game since 2011. Meanwhile, the Giants-Dodgers game that night was ESPN's highest rated late night regular season game ever, averaging 2.76 million viewers. Now, when you see the return of the NBA had returned July 30th with a doubleheader for TNT. The opener had saw the Utah Jazz and the New Orleans Pelicans. That averaged 2.1 million viewers. And then the main event, Lakers taking on the Clippers, that averaged 4.1 million viewers. It really had peaks between the 9:45 p.m. to 10:45 p.m. Eastern that evening, but as a whole, the game averaged 3.4 million viewers. So, yeah, and yes, before anybody, yes, the NBA numbers, it has been on a bit of a decline. I'm not making excuses. I'm stating the fact because I did see a lot of the games while I was out sick. Let me tell you something. Putting an NBA game on at noon, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and you're doing it during a weekday, probably not going to be that many people that's going to be watching. Not unless they got league pass and they happen to have a day off from work, they're sick like I was, or some shit like that. Yeah, you can forget about it. So, but yeah, the numbers have kind of, decreased a little bit for the NBA. Maybe as we get closer into, okay, it's playoff time, maybe they will pick back up and everything. But still, the numbers overall for NBA in a bubble is doing a lot better than what was going on there last we had saw of the XFL. So, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, Danny Garcia, and everybody else involved in the new reboot of the XFL, they got a lot of serious strategizing to do as far as, okay, what do we do here? How are we gonna, one thing that I always thought, well, why aren't they capitalizing on this more? They definitely need to capitalize on the social media platforms. I'm very surprised that some of the games were not streaming on Facebook Watch. Very surprised that YouTube wasn't being utilized. I always thought, and I even said it way back then, I always thought that the XFL should have had some type of a pre-show and a post-game show, kind of similar to what you're doing there with the NFL today on Fox, or James Brown and the crew on CBS. I always felt you should have had something like that going on. But the other thing that you need as well, you got to have some type of star power in there for your XFL. I mean, other than PJ Walker, who was really the true breakout star from the XFL, and he ended up signing with the Carolina Panthers. I mean, other than that, you really didn't have anybody else that broke out. You pretty much had backups after backups, the backup to the backup that was the backup. Yeah, retired folks. You need some star name fucking people. And if I'm part of the media, one of the questions that I'm asking Dwayne The Rock Johnson, hey, obviously, what really kind of hurt the XFL there wasn't enough star power. Hey, would you be interested in going after Colin Kaepernick? Now that we know where you are with regards to President Trump and his current administration, and we have an idea where you are when it comes to kneeling, the whole anthem and everything. Would you be open to doing business with Colin Kaepernick? I'm very curious what The Rock would say. I'm very curious what he would say with regards to that. My gut instinct is telling me he would so be down with signing Colin Kaepernick. But they got to learn from the mistakes of what went down. There was a lot of good things that was implemented by the XFL, but some of the things that I just highlighted, they need to work on those, because those were the significant and key flaws for the XFL. Rock and his people, they need to capitalize on those, and only then will the XFL really, really be able to have a good chance of succeeding. But other than that, I think that's it. I don't think there's really anything else we need to dive into, at least for now. So, programming note, we got a new Impact Showdown. That's going to be dropping Tuesday night going into Wednesday night for our Patreon members. Patreon.com/RCWR show. Sign up, $5. Get you access to all the content so you don't miss anything. And then I'm looking at my schedule here. With regards to my schedule here, I know some of you guys are used to, okay, so are we going to do a show Wednesday? What are we doing? As far as a show goes, I will be live with you guys Thursday night, August the 13th. Again, I'll be live with you all on Thursday night, August the 13th. I will be live, we'll say about 10:15, maybe about 10:20 p.m. Eastern. We'll be live. We'll be talking about NXT, AEW Fallout, and some more little goodies in between. Meantime, be kind, rewind, check out previous episodes you may have missed. In case you guys didn't know, there was a From the Vault episode of Wrestling with the Topics that was released. Never was released before. That was only exclusively available to our Patreon members. That was released quietly over the weekend, so that'll tie you over until I'm back live with you all again. Get at me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Use keywords the RCWR show. And please, once again, if you enjoyed the episode, it's free, doesn't cost you a thing. Please leave a like, a share, a retweet, subscribe, but really hit those likes and all that, because it really helps other people come across the content with more ease as far as recommendations go. All right. Appreciate the love and support as always. Great to be back. I'm actually glad we went a little bit longer, because I wasn't really trying to do a whole hour 15, but we definitely got to make up on the next show. So next show, I know normally you guys are used to a longer Wednesday or a Thursday night show, because we usually have that 2 hours plus, but we'll make up the time difference and we'll just have the next show that's going to be coming up run shorter. Till next go round, wishing all y'all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. I will catch you guys next go round. Adios.